Kamala Harris says that 15,000 people showed up for her rally in Detroit last week. Former President Trump says the actual number was 0. I quote, nobody was there. In a string of social media posts, Trump falsely claimed that the photos of the event were doctored on AI, calling her a cheater. Contradicting that are scores of images captured by attendees and members of the media, including from our own networks, who all were there, witnessed last week's Harris-Walz events in person. I watched it live on television. That includes, of course, Michigan Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, who not only attended the rally, she was a speaker there. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell joins me now. So were you really there, Debbie?
Hello. Good afternoon, Andrea. I was really there, and I haven't seen that large crowd in a long time, and it was great to feel the energy, the enthusiasm, and sorry, Donald Trump, you're wrong again.
So what did you witness in Detroit, and what do you make of all of these false claims on social media?
I don't know what's going on with him, quite frankly. I mean, I don't know when you had literally hundreds of media there. You had thousands and thousands of people who were there as part of the crowd. You had how many speakers? We were all there. It's a reality. So I don't think it helps Donald Trump in any credibility whatsoever for him to say that this was false, that it was AI, or it was anything else. It was, as you recall, Governor Walz came out and said this is the largest crowd we've had to date. And I think Donald Trump needs to stop the lying, which unfortunately has been a pattern since we've known him. And we need to get back to campaigning on the fact.
So the polls are slightly more favorable. They're within the margin of error in battlegrounds. You've always been very, very cautious about Michigan and how hard a state it is. What is your feeling now? Is it that this is now, a close race, but one that you can win, potentially? Whereas a lot of people thought after that debate, with a lot of Democrats thought, certainly, that after that debate, that Joe Biden couldn't carry the ticket.
So I'm cautious. I feel very good, and I said it that day, that I felt a lot better in August of 2024 than I did in 2016, because nobody believed me when I said that we had a problem. I've been out there last 10 days since she's become the candidate and since she has named Governor Walz as her running mate. I've been at farmers markets, union halls, veterans halls, numerous events, and there are a lot of complicated feelings. But one thing I want to say is people are just in general, the word joy is a word that I do like. They're being nicer right now. It's not to say that it couldn't turn at any second, but I was down at a car show in Flat Rock this weekend, which is traditionally a Trump area. And two people wanted to have their picture taken with me. And I said, sure. And we had a great talk. And when I walked away, someone said, those are two Trumpers. Well, 4 years ago, I might have had to have worried about whether someone was going to yell at me, whether someone was going to. There's civil conversations going on right now. I hope that continues for the fall. But I don't take Michigan for granted. We are a purple state. We're going to stay purple until Election Day. And anybody who takes Michigan for granted is making a mistake. We've got work to do. We're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to do what we have to do.
Now, one thing that is a big issue in Michigan, certainly with the large Arab American community there, is the war. And Gaza again got hit this weekend, a school. The vice president felt she had to, because of protesters, stop and chat about it, talk about it, that she wants the ceasefire. But the chances of a ceasefire are really, really low now with these talks, given what's been happening lately and the assassination and the possibility of an attack by Iran. So how concerned are you that this is going to follow her because of the connection to the Biden administration?
Look, we have to take this issue very seriously. I know this community very well. It's a community that's hurting. I don't think Donald Trump's going to be any better for this community, and I think that there are people inside this community that know it. Some of the uncommitted had conversations with the vice president on Wednesday. They are reaching out and talking to different members of the community. One of the highest elected Arab American officials in Michigan endorsed the vice president last week, and quite frankly, got death threats and a lot of grief for it, but he feels very strongly that he did the right thing. Look, I'm very worried about this war in the Mideast, period. And it's not just Palestinians now. I still have, I don't live in Dearborn anymore, but a lot of Lebanese constituents and Lebanese friends, and they're scared to death that war could break out any minute. We need to take the situation in the Mideast very seriously. We need to understand that there are people on both sides who have family, who are very worried about what the future is going to hold. We don't want to see any more innocent people die. And Andrea, I'm not going to accept that we don't stand a chance of a ceasefire. We can never stop working towards getting a ceasefire, and I hope everybody in this administration will stay focused on that.
And very, very briefly, how concerned are you about J.D. Vance's attacks and the campaign's attacks on, Tim Walz's resume?
Look, they're going to keep doing what they're going to do, and we're going to have to push back. I think J.D. Vance is the gift that keeps on giving. What he has said about women is so degrading and so unacceptable. But I take everything that's going to happen this fall very seriously. I know what we've got to do, and I'm working with a whole lot of other people that know what we've got to do. Michigan's competitive. We know it. We're going to do the work. We're going to do the voter engagement, and we're going to turn out the votes. And we're going to be purple. You're going to ask me a week before the election, how do you feel? And I don't know quite yet. We'll see. But we're going to do the work.
A close race. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, thanks so very much.